They call it the smartest room in the world, a boardroom high above the chaos where executives decide the fate of companies, economies, and sometimes entire societies. But inside that room sits a ghost, a silent partner that takes a cut from nearly every decision. That ghost is the global consulting industry, led by one of its most powerful players, McKinsey Company. Most people think McKinsey is simply a consulting firm where elite graduates analyze spreadsheets and advise companies. But critics argue it operates more like an operating system for modern capitalism, one that has quietly helped shift hundreds of billions of dollars out of the real economy into expensive strategies, restructuring plans, and failed transformations. Some analysts estimate that more than $500 billion has been wasted globally on consulting-driven initiatives that never delivered meaningful results. The trap begins with a seductive promise: efficiency. When a company struggles or simply wants to boost its stock price, consultants arrive. They come armed with data, benchmarks, and glossy presentations. Their language transforms people into headcount and businesses into value chains. The proposed solution is almost always the same: cut costs, reduce staff, and restructure operations. In theory, this sounds logical, but in practice, it often creates a dangerous cycle. Companies cut experienced workers, lose institutional knowledge, and weaken their core operations. If performance declines further, the consultants return with another restructuring plan. The patient grows weaker, yet the prescription remains the same. Critics point to several major corporate disasters as evidence of this dynamic. One of the most famous examples is Enron. Before its spectacular collapse in 2001, Enron was heavily influenced by McKinsey's management philosophy. The firm promoted an aggressive talent system that ranked employees against each other and pushed out the lowest performers each year. Supporters called it meritocracy. Critics say it created a hyper-competitive culture where employees were pressured to produce results at any cost, an environment that helped fuel the accounting fraud that eventually destroyed the company. When Enron collapsed, billions of dollars in pensions vanished, and thousands lost their jobs. Yet consulting fees had already been paid, and the advisors simply moved on to their next clients. Financial damage is one thing, but the most controversial case linked to McKinsey involves the opioid crisis in the United States. When pharmaceutical company Purdue Pharma faced slowing sales of its powerful painkiller OxyContin, internal documents later revealed that consultants recommended strategies to turbocharge sales. These included targeting doctors who prescribed large volumes of opioids and exploring financial incentives tied to increased prescriptions. The recommendations came at a time when addiction rates were already rising sharply. Over the following years, opioid overdoses devastated communities across the country. Ultimately, McKinsey agreed to a settlement of nearly $600 million with U.S. states for its work with opioid manufacturers. The firm said it deeply regretted its role and no longer works with such clients. Still, the episode became one of the most controversial moments in consulting history. The pattern appears in other places as well. In South Africa, McKinsey faced investigations over its role in contracts with the state-owned electricity utility Eskom. Working alongside a local partner, the firm received massive consulting fees tied to turnaround strategies. After public backlash and investigations into corruption involving politically connected business groups, McKinsey later returned large portions of the money. So why do companies keep hiring consultants despite the controversies? The answer often comes down to fear. In corporate culture, there is an old saying: nobody ever got fired for hiring McKinsey. Bringing in a prestigious consulting firm gives executives cover. If the strategy fails, they can argue they followed the advice of the world's top experts. Responsibility becomes diluted. Over time, this dynamic can hollow out leadership itself. Executives outsource difficult thinking to external advisors, while consultants often young and highly analytical design strategies for industries they have never worked in directly. Critics say this creates a dangerous gap between theory and reality. There is also a broader economic cost. Consulting firms recruit many of the brightest graduates from top universities, people who might otherwise pursue careers in science, engineering, medicine, or public service. Instead, they spend years optimizing cost-cutting plans, designing restructuring strategies, or modeling layoffs in spreadsheets. Some economists argue this represents a massive misallocation of talent. Now the system is entering a new phase. The next consulting boom is centered on artificial intelligence. Firms are advising governments and corporations on how to automate processes, replace workers, and restructure industries around AI technology. The projected economic value runs into trillions of dollars. But early research suggests that as many as 70–80% of major digital transformation projects fail to meet their goals. If that pattern continues, the amount of money spent on consulting-driven AI transformations could dwarf the previous $500 billion wave of failed initiative. In this sense, the $500 billion trap is not just about one firm. It reflects a broader system of incentives across modern capitalism. Corporations chase short-term shareholder returns. Executives seek protection from risk. Consultants sell strategies that promise quick efficiency gains, even when those gains come at the cost of long-term stability. When we examine scandals like Enron, the Opioid Crisis, and international corruption cases, the same pattern often appears. Ambitious strategies, complex slide decks, and a relentless focus on short-term performance metrics. The real damage may be deeper than financial losses. It erodes trust between companies and employees, between businesses and customers, and between institutions and society. It transforms organizations from communities that build value into machines designed primarily to extract it. The ghost in the boardroom still sits quietly at the table. The promise remains the same: efficiency, optimization, transformation. But history raises a difficult question. If the last $500 billion disappeared into failed strategies and restructuring plans, what will the next trillion cost?